Hello, welcome back to Talk About Strange. I got a really good story for you here today. This is about a mom that stands between her children and a Bigfoot. It's a really good story, very interesting. You're going to really enjoy this. And keep an eye on the channel. We got a lot of stuff coming. We're growing. And pretty soon we're going to be doing some shirts and sweatshirts and some stuff from the channel. I'm going to ask you to go. Feel free to pick out your favorite thumbnail and get that turned into a shirt or maybe a tumbler. And we're just going to keep on growing from here. Things are going really well, and I couldn't have done it without you guys, the viewers. I appreciate all your likes, your comments. Everybody's been phenomenal. Your support. Thank you for watching the stories that I'm putting on here. And I'm going to get on to the story right now. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I just had to get that out of the way. Let me get some of my coffee. It's been a crazy week. I'm trying to keep up with all the messages and the comments, but I had no idea it was going to grow like this, and I was going to get so many. And so I've been helping my brother remodel his cobblestone. He's got an old cobblestone house from the 1800s, early 1800s. And he's turning that into a bed and breakfast. The place is going to be beautiful. So I've been over there helping him with that, along with working on my stories and stuff like that and communicating with people. So it's just a lot going on. So anyway, let's get on to the story. All right. This is from Carrie. Back in 1986, me and my husband liked to go night fishing because we had small children, and that was the only time that we could really get any fishing in. One of the places we liked to go was a little creek that jetted out off the lake. We had been there many times before without any problem. It was quiet and secluded. The area that we fished was about a block away from where we parked our car. And the clearing by the creek was a spot about 20 foot wide and 30 foot long. The rest of the area was surrounded by trees of varying sizes. There was a really large oak tree at the back of the tree line that stood right up against a small cliff that was about 20 foot high. When we got there on this particular night, we unloaded the car, making many trips back and forth to the camp area. Set up the small tent for the kids so we could get them to sleep. I set the tent up right beside an old dead tree that was right next to the creek where I would be fishing, and hung the lantern up in a tree so I could see the whole area really well. As the night went on, everything was going great. When I had to go to the restroom, I walked over to the edge of the tree line, about 20 feet from the tent, where I could still see the whole area. About 2 a.m. in the morning, my husband had to run up to the car to get something he had forgotten, and while he was gone, I had to use the restroom. So I walked over to the edge of the tree line where I had been going. While I was there, I heard something back by the large oak tree that butted up against the cliff. So I shined my flashlight in that direction and saw a really big pair of brown eyes looking back at me. But it looked like maybe an owl in a tree. So I thought nothing to worry about. Then I heard some leaves rustling about, and I shined my flashlight back in that direction. But I didn't see anything, so I thought, well, that's just a raccoon or a skunk, something scurrying around. So I wasn't too worried. But then I heard what sounded like footsteps. And when I shined my flashlight back in that direction, there was a massive creature standing there with large brown eyes, a large flat nose, curved beige, covered in beige or very light brown hair, except for his face, hands, and feet. It was definitely male because I could see his gonads hanging between his legs. Don't laugh. Don't be childish. I'm sorry. Walking upright on 2 feet. Its head was slightly cone-shaped on top. It was about 7 or 8 feet tall. I couldn't tell for sure because it was uphill from me, and it looked like it weighed about 500 to 600 pounds. Whew. I was terrified. I didn't know what this thing was. At the time, I'd never heard of Bigfoot before. I didn't know what to do. I jumped up and got my britches up and ran back over to the tent where my kids were. And I turned to face this thing and screamed for my husband with everything I had in me. It didn't seem to be in any hurry, but It just kept walking straight towards me, and with every step, I got more terrified. I bet you did. I didn't know what else to do, so I started talking to it and telling it to please don't hurt me or my children. I told him that I wouldn't hurt him or his children. At this point, he didn't seem vicious or anything, but he just kept walking towards me. I begged and pleaded with this thing. I had backed up as far as I could because the water was behind me. And I couldn't run because my kids were there, so I finally just started praying. When he got up about 10 foot away from me, he just stopped and cocked his head, like a dog does when they're confused and trying to understand. And then he turned and walked away to my left, back into the tree line. When my husband got back, I told him what had happened. He just looked at me like I'd lost my mind and said he didn't hear me screaming. Now, to this day, I still don't know for sure what this thing was, but it looked similar to some of the pictures and stuff that I've seen on Bigfoot. But what I would really like to know is if it could understand what I was saying. And I can't say if it had wanted to hurt me, it surely could have. Well, I can say if it wanted to hurt me, it surely could have. I have quit telling my story because every time I do, people just call me crazy. Or they would say it was just something in a suit trying to scare me. But to that, I say, why would any man be walking around at 2 a.m. in the morning in a suit? And if it was a man in a suit, his gonads were hanging out of the bottom of the suit because I could see them very clearly. And he's about 7 8 foot tall and weighed 500 to 600 pounds. I know what I saw, and it was no man in a suit. Thank you for your time. And if anybody has any insight about this thing, understanding what it was, what I was saying, if anybody has any insight into this thing, understanding what I was saying, I would appreciate it. Carrie. Yeah. Wow. Again, that's an amazing story. And, leave it to a mom to be right there in front of the kids, protecting the kids. He probably knew he wasn't going to get too far there, or just wasn't going to end well. I don't know if they can understand, and there's probably people out there that know better than me that can answer that question. I'm going to say yes. I don't know why, but I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to go with yes to some extent. Maybe not that they understand what you're saying as much word for word as the motion behind it, the sense. Like I guess with a lot of animals, dogs don't actually know what you're saying, but they understand by the tone in which you're saying it. And maybe, you were in his zone, his home area, his fishing spot, and he just wanted to know why. And he got close enough to understand you weren't a threat and just decided, well, I'm just going to let you be and go about my business. I don't know, but that's very interesting. And again, so now I just want to say, Carrie, thank you very much for sharing that story with us. Very, very well written, very good story. And I got a lot more stories to come. So you guys please stick around. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on other stories that we got coming. And just thank you so much for sticking around. I keep moving in this chair. You hear this chair squeaking? I got to oil this chair. Thank you so much for sticking around and showing your support and being kind. And none of this would be possible without you. Got a lot more to come. So we'll see you again really soon. All right. Thank you. Take care now. Thanks, Carrie.